Hi, it's Peter from Record again. On this short video I'm going to take you through a little bit of maintenance on my bandsaw here. This BS350 I've had for around about 10 years or more. And I'll keep it regularly checked, the guides and bits and pieces, but now I'm going to give it a real good clean over and have the table off, give it a clean, drop my guides out, check my band wheels. I know I've got a couple of bearings that are a little bit dry and old now, so I think she's worth a bit of looking after. I'm going to take you through a little bit of what I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to clean the table up. I've already done the one part of the table. I've just got a little bit to do now. It's a little bit dry, and from the winter and everything else, it'll get tainted, and it just needs to freshen up, and I'll trim it up as well to make sure everything's nice and smooth on the table. Then I'll remove that, and then I'm going to have a look at the guides. So first of all, I'm just going to give this a little buzz over. I've got a little sander, and I'll put a 120 disc on here, and or you can use the fibre pads. If your table's not too tainted, you can use one of these. If it is a little bit on the dry side and maybe a little bit rusty, use one of these. Say I've got a 120 disc, maybe you can use something finer and then finish off with one of those. I've locked it up to my extractor, so I'm all ready to go. So that's finished her off, and that's eased that table a little bit. So I've smoothed the table off. All I want to do now is give it a little trim. If you use a file, put the safety edge inside and just rub it up, or just draw it back and try and do the T section underneath, just draw it along. Same as that. I've already done these edges, and I've got a little bit of wet and dry, or a little bit of emery cloth, and just rub that along. Draw it on the T-slot as well inside, and also on the top. Nice and smooth then. Then what I use a little bit of microcrystalline, just to put on the table and rub it in, and this won't sit on the top, but you can actually work it into the table, and it'll draw the muck out as well. So I'll have to clean it's like the cast iron's got pores, so you're going to get a lot of muck off it. Fetch that off. And just work it in. Doesn't take very long. I don't know if you can see on mine, over the years it's got lots of staining on there, because this is basically my workroom here. It's only heated when I'm in here really, so the rest of the time it's down to the elements really, what's going on. So you will get a bit of moisture on the tables. You can get cloths and things to put over your machines, that will help. This is one of the quick ways to get it ready for service. Now it's all nice and smooth, and I've got no sharp edges on there, so really that's okay. And that you can reapply as well. It's, the microcrystalline waxes, say it's neutral wax, so you can put it onto a work surface and it's not going to affect really anything you put over the top. So what I want to do now is just take the two screws out underneath. If I drop those, I've already taken the back screws out, so I'm down onto the table pincher up a second. Just support it. Maybe get somebody to give you a hand with this because it's quite heavy. The 300 is a lot more manageable, but when you get on to sort of the BS350, 400 are a little bit on the heavy side. So that now can come off. I can store that out of the way for a second. So then that gives me access to the underneath. The last few days over the weekend I've been putting in some sleepers into the garden, and in some cases I've been able to chop the timber up. But what it has resulted in, and I've got loads of this soft wood all over the machine, and I need to give it a real good clean out. I'll remove the guard cover, so I've got lots of sawdust all over the place. Even though I've used an extractor, I've still got a lot of waste in there. So it's an ideal time to clean the machine out after all that machining. Maybe not to this extreme with taking the tables off, but always after you've done a lot of work, check your machine over. I've already removed the rear door, the bottom door, and I'm going to take the top door off, so they easily pop off on the 300, 350 and 400 on these types of little hinges. So that gives me access to the machine. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the guides off and give those a good service, oil them, check them. The bearing on the back here is actually a little bit old and a little bit loose now. It's the original one that's been on there, so it's done well. So it's been on 10 years or more. And also the band wheels, I'm going to take those off. So the first one I'll take off is the actual this guide itself here. This comes out as a little unit, and these actually pop out. So if you undo the screws, you can take those out and remove the blocks, these little bushes, and take those out. I'm going to put those in a tub. So even with the extractor on, I've still got a lot of dust. What I used was the single motor one, and what I should probably have done with those big sleepers is use my twin motor extractor. So with these, the bottom ones, what I can do with these is just give them a little clean, and the actual brass bodies, just give them a soak in some oil. I'll use a bit of 3-in-1 oil, and I'll check the faces as well, what they're like. I'm going to give them a little buff up as well, and we'll make it all run a little bit simpler. So I'm going to give those a spray in a second with some WD-40, and then check all the other bits and pieces, get all the dust out of it. So for the top assembly, this comes out with the screw on the side. So if I move the tool arm down a little bit, this will come out as a unit. So if I take that off, just and remove this one. Probably better off taking this one off here. Take the one at the back. You've got a little screw at the back. Wind that one all the way out. On this one, it's a slightly shorter screw. It's maybe 12 millimeters long or something like that. On the later ones, they're actually longer. They go through the actual shaft itself. So like I say, remove the whole lot out. So you've got your block that holds the assembly in, and then you've got the actual guides themselves. So what I'm going to look to do with these is give these a good clean up, clean the faces up as well, and oil these bushes. The bushes on here are oil-like bearings, so what they want is a clean off first of all, give them a good clean off, bit of WD-40, remove some of this muck. Then I'm going to give them a soak in some general purpose oil, a 3-in-1 oil, something like that. And give them a good soak in that. Then I'll reassemble the unit. Individually, they come off at the back of the actual unit itself, and this is the same on the BS300, 350 and the 400. So at the rear of the actual assembly you've got a 6mm key. If you take that all the way out, that actually comes off. You can't go wrong. That locates into a slot here as well, so it's a machine slot, and you've got a flat area on this. That's where they marry back up, and then you can put the screw back in through the back. So again, it's a simple one to take to pieces. So that is a little assembly. Then I'm not going to take that any further apart because it would mean need pulling the actual bush out, and that's held in place with a screw and a washer through the actual shouldered bush in there. But this just needs a real good clean out and a good soaking and a good oiling. So it's quite easy to look at.